Hello, schoolers, and welcome to the school news on the 22nd of April.
What was that?
That's the nail emoji, schoolers.
Oh my God.
Dock
All right.
it.
Welcome, everyone. So let's start with a quick Skool Games winner event recap. It was this weekend, and it was pretty awesome. And, you know, the start of it, we had the guy who was #1 in the music category opening for us on the trumpet. Let's check this out.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Please take your seats. We will be starting with something very exciting. We have Louis Dowdeswell, #1 in music, trumpet extraordinaire with an absolute masterpiece. Let's go. Louis Dowdeswell, everybody. #1 in the music category. What a performance. Thank you.
It was a pretty awesome way to open the event. And it was, I'd say this is one of the benefits of having multiple different categories in the Skool Games, because we had such a mix of people there. There was people there from like tech, cybersecurity and AI and coding, finance, business, dating, sports, like pickleball and basketball and stuff, frisbee. There was a guy there, and music as well. There's a drum and bass DJ and everything. It was pretty awesome. And so we're just going to have a quick look at some of the photos. So Kirby was being the MC and introducing the whole event. Then, we had Louis Dowdeswell.
You know, he played trumpet on one of the James Bond movies.
Really?
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
And you can check out his community. It's called Lewis's Trumpet Academy. It's #1 in music in Q1. Then I said a little something.
Look at that cool guy.
And then you can see that everyone was having a good time except for Kirby. Then we had Evelyn Weiss. She did a little presentation. And what we did for this Skool Games is we got like 4 people that have achieved great things on Skool to like condense down their story and what they're doing on Skool and how they achieved the results they're getting, with a particular focus on, their MRR and their churn.
Yep.
And so Evelyn Weiss has got a group called Grow with Evelyn. It's making 197 grand a month recurring, and she's got 3% churn. Then we had Josh Madakor. He's in the tech category. The
#1.
Yeah, the cyber range. It's the cybersecurity community. He's making 111 grand MRR, 10% churn. And then we had Tyler Costin. One of his communities is like that pickleball school, but he came first, second, and third, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because he's got a basketball community and another community. As you can see, he looks very athletic, and he's at like 60 grand MRR, 3% churn. And it was so awesome hearing from someone that does marketing, and then someone that does cybersecurity, and then someone that does sports.
Yeah.
It doesn't get boring because everyone's got something unique to kind of add. And, here's a shot of the audience. Quincy, you can see Quincy there. He's got a drum and bass community. There's Gracie. She's got Dating with Gracie, a pretty cool dating community. And then we had Jack Dumoulin from School of Hard Knocks. He's doing about 116 grand MRR with 11% churn. He's got a big YouTube channel as well.
Yep. And
he shared what he's doing. And so, we opened with the trumpet. Some people said some things. Then there was an awards ceremony. you can see people got photos. They got handed their school awards. So look at the fingerprints on that one.
Oh no.
It needs to be polished up.
Yeah, edit it. AI.
The ones we ship you aren't all smeared like that. This one had been touched by like 30 people at this point. But yeah, we did the award ceremony. People got awards. And what was really interesting is I noticed this from the very beginning. Like the question that everyone was using as like the icebreaker was, what category are you in?
Yep.
Because they knew that everyone in their room was in one of those categories, and it was a great way to kind of start it.
Yep.
It was also cool to see that like the music people found the music people, the AI people found the AI people, but also they were mixing.
Yep, it was perfect.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. You don't really see that many different people in one room from so many different like categories, but still doing something together. Like yeah.
One of my favorite things at lunch was when the pickleball guy was teaching the frisbee guy, because the pickleball guy has a huge social following. Frisbee guy's great at frisbee, but doesn't have the following. And he was just telling him exactly what to do. And the frisbee guy was like, oh, I'm taking notes.
Yeah. Then we had some lunch.
Yummy.
Look at that.
Yummy, yummy.
Very delicious lunch.
Ooh. Creme brulee. You mentioned that.
Yep. Well, we're not on that course yet. This was some kind of beef.
Yeah, it was
I forget what it's called, but I did a taste test of it before.
You liked it?
Yeah, it was very, very high quality.
Good.
You can see people enjoying their lunch. Someone's getting quite expressive during lunch. And then we got on this bus.
Not just any old bus. Executive bus.
Except I asked Vlad for a black bus.
Oh,
Does this bus look black to you?
doesn't look very black to me.
It's a very nice bus, but I did request it in black. Apparently Vlad called every...
Vlad said lol in the chat.
Apparently he called like every single bus company in LA. Anyway, we all got on this bus and then took a road trip to Skool HQ.
This was fun.
Our office. And it was awesome that everyone got to see, like, you know, I thought of it as like visiting the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. You want to see like, where does it get made? And you don't want it to be changed at all. We wanted to do the event in a separate place.
Yep.
So that we didn't have to move everything around, because you want to see exactly how things are in the office. Like people were asking, where do you sit? Where does so-and-so sit?
Yep.
And then they got to see the school news set up there,
Yep,
which you can kind of see in the photo there. And they were asking all these questions about that and just hanging out. You know, we wanted to leave plenty of open space so that everyone could meet with each other and you know, and collaborate. There's me adding some value. Someone's got their eyes
Someone's
closed.
asleep.
Yeah. Oh well. And then we went out to dinner afterwards, and we had some Italian. At a very nice restaurant. You can see everyone enjoying their time here. And that one kid there is 16 years old.
17.
Yeah. Okay. And his dad was accompanying him just to make sure that, because, you know, when I was 16, I definitely wasn't traveling around the world. He's from Sweden. He's like the growth operator for the Lewis Dowdeswell.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah,
that guy. And that was the wealthy plumber guy, the guy at the end of the table.
Yep,
Very
at
cool.
Bruh on Skool. So yeah, that was quick recap of the event. And, you know, we recorded the entire thing, and we're going to share the recordings soon. Like, Johnny is going to edit them up, and I don't know when they'll be ready, and he probably doesn't want me to say any kind of time.
Tomorrow.
But yeah, we'll release these on our YouTube channel if you guys want them. Like, who's interested in these, let us know. Who wants to see these recordings of Evelyn Weiss and all of these people earning awesome MRR with low churn? People interested?
Yep.
Cool. Well, we'll share those soon. We'll post about it in the community. We'll put it on our YouTube channel. Yeah. Now, some new features. So right now you can pinch to zoom images on the app. I don't know why you couldn't do that for so long. And it's quite important if you're trying to see an image on the app. So yeah, that's live. Small thing, but makes a big difference. We also removed the word lifetime from one-time payments. So, you know, if you were doing a one-time membership, it used to say like $500 lifetime. And the feedback from some different creators was, oh, I don't know about saying lifetime. Like, can't it just say one time?
Yep.
Right? And so now we just removed the word lifetime from everywhere. Now on that buy button, it just says buy or join for like 500.
Nice.
It doesn't say per month or per year. It also doesn't say lifetime. So yeah, that's another small thing, but has quite a big impact. And yeah, that's really it in terms of new features, because the teams are working on some much bigger things that are in progress. And this happens sometimes. You know, sometimes you're working on smaller things and they're just flying out like boom, 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 and there's a lot to cover in 1 week. But other times the teams are working on something that takes longer than 1 week to build, right? Yep. And so, you know, it kind of comes in cycles or waves. Sometimes you see a lot of small things, and then sometimes you don't see much, and then something big drops.
Yep.
So yeah, that's it for new features. And then, you know, kind of on this topic, I figured we'd talk about how we build Skool in general. You may or may not be interested, but because, you know, I think there's some similarities here to how you build anything.
Yep.
Like a community or a course, or honestly anything. I don't think the process is any different. But first of all, like, where do the ideas come from? And they honestly like come from everywhere. And so, you know, I use the product every day, and this is extremely important. Actually using it is, I would say, the main source of like, of inspiration, because if something frustrates me, I really want to fix it. And if I feel something like I want to fix it, and yeah, I think this is the main thing. We also have the Skoolers community. So this is where, you know, like 50,000 plus owners of communities are there. And then they've got all of their communities where there's tens of millions of people in their communities. And all of that feedback kind of comes from their communities to them, and then them into the community there. And so it's all of these users, you know, that are like kind of aggregating up this feedback. And then I read almost everything in here.
Yep. You call it a central node.
Yeah. And so this is huge. Like, we actually listen. I actually read it. Multiple hours a day of my time every day is spent just reading what people say about the product. And then also talking to users. So, you know, at the Skool Games event we just had, I'm talking to users. I'm like, how do you like this? How do you like that? What if we did this? What if we did that? And they're telling me all kinds of ideas that they would like. And also I'm DMing people. Like, if I identify someone as a real good source of feedback, or if someone's super like hardcore and they probably will understand the deeper things, then, you know, I'm sending DMs and screenshots and things back and forward. And then we get on Zoom, and sometimes they come and visit the office too. So yeah, ideas come from this kind of landscape here, right? Literally from anywhere. And then we compile the ideas into a list, right? We just kind of dump them into a Google sheet, honestly. And then we continuously find the most important ideas and prioritize them.
Yep.
So we're like looking at all of these ideas, and then we're like, okay, what's actually good? And then out of all of this, what should we do next, basically? And then we get that list right down to what's most important now. And honestly, I would say this step here takes almost as much time as the looking at the like gathering of the ideas.
Yep.
It's a huge task, this prioritization thing, actually, because as new information comes in, you have to reprioritize everything in a way, right? Or if there's a bug, or if you ship something and then everything changes, you have to reprioritize everything.
Yep.
So I spend a lot of my time doing this.
I remember when I was running a community back in the day, I would never prioritize, and I would try to do everything at once, which would mean that I tried to improve everything at the same time, which meant that nothing got better. But
That's impossible.
Exactly. Prioritizing and just doing one thing, making that as good as possible, then moving on to the next thing works way better.
Yeah. Yeah, the key to making something good is to not do many things, because to make something really good takes a lot of time. Yeah.
Yep.
Then designing the interface and how it works, that's the next step once we know what we're going to do, right? So we do that. And then we actually validate it. We validate the designs with the users, often the users that asked for them, right? And we say, is this what you want? Like, would this solve the problem? Or what do you think of this? And, you know, this might be just sending screenshots. Sometimes I'll record a loom and walk them through how it works. And this is just still at the conceptual stage here. No code's been written, because all of this is quite easy to change. Once code's being written, it's hard to change things, and it's expensive. So, you know, when we're in the conceptual stage, we want to validate as much as possible. And then often getting on Zoom as well, sometimes with multiple users at a time, and pulling up the designs and walking them through it and seeing what they say. And once we've kind of validated, yes, this is what people want, this is the priority, this is what we should do, then we build it. And that's, you know, working with the engineering teams to actually code it. And this is actually the hardest part. The engineers deserve a huge amount of credit. It's definitely the hardest part, and it's way harder than everyone thinks, and they're kind of hidden behind the scenes, but they're like the real heroes of this whole process.
Yep.
Then we test it, and, you know, we run all kinds of tests to make sure it's not buggy and make sure that it actually works. And then when we think it's good enough, we ship it. And then you guys see it in your app. You're like, oh my God, look, there's a button there or something.
Yep.
And then we announce it on Skool News, like we're doing here. And then you're like, oh, look, I said something. They listened to me. They did it. I like it. or they hate it. And then we have to undo it. And then we just repeat this process. That's really it. And then it's just back to, you know, square one, and you just do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again.
Yep.
Before you know it, it's been 5.5 years. Yeah.
And the product's pretty good.
Yeah. So that's how we build Skool. Hope that it helps you in some way or adds some clarity. And I honestly think you build a community the same way. Like, too often I think what people do is they sit down in their bedroom and then they write a list of ideas.
Yes.
And more is better in their mind. So this list is enormous, and it includes all kinds of things that nobody wanted or asked for. Even worse is if they've asked ChatGPT what they should add into their community or product.
Or they listen to 100 different mentors that are all telling them to do 100 different things.
Yeah. Or they scroll the feed and let that carry them away. You've got to really get your sources pure, I think. And you've got to get good sources, and you kind of got to tune them, because if there's too much noise, then you don't know what to do. And so that's why I really like just using the thing.
Yep.
Because I can just experience it, right? And I remember the guy who invented the iPhone, it's not actually Steve Jobs, the guy who was like in charge of the team inside Apple that did the iPhone. He said that, and I don't know what his name is, but you can Google it. But he said that for him, the main source of innovation and inspiration is frustration. He said, don't go looking for ideas, go looking for frustration.
That's good.
And take it away.
That's really good.
Yeah. And so what's the iPhone like? It's pretty damn clean. Like, that's why a little baby can use it.
Yep.
And a grandma.
Yep.
And everyone in between. And they just removed the frustration. They didn't sit down and try to come up with a list of ideas.
Yep.
Right? And so, yeah, I think using it yourself, but that can be hard if you're building a community, right? But I mean, at least you're showing up to your community. That's a start, and you're kind of experiencing what it's like. If there's posts that you're like, oh, this is a gross post, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, well, maybe you should try to get people to do less of that. Maybe you should moderate more. And the things you do like, you need to give them a bit more like of a reward, pin them more. And then I think you've got to look at the people who care about your thing. You should always try to identify the people that care about your thing the most, because obviously you're going to care about your thing the most because you made it, but you need other people other than you.
Yes.
Because you can be biased and kind of stuck in your own head. So when you find those people, they're so valuable. And you want to like bring those people closer, basically. Like build a relationship with them, because then whenever you're stuck in your head or something, you can be like, hey, I've got this idea, I want to share it with you. You jump on Zoom and they're like, oh yes, this would be awesome. Or they're like, I don't know, man, I don't know if this is necessary. Yeah. And I think this applies, honestly. What do you reckon?
100%, yeah. And this isn't just theory. Like, I've seen you do this every day. I've done this in my own communities. The more you bring together the core 2, 3, 4 people inside of the group, the more it starts to feel like an actual community instead of just a bunch of members.
Yeah, and I guess these two things have a lot in common, actually, or a lot of synergy between them. Like, this is our next point, which is a community building tip. So it's called 10 True Regulars, and I learned about this from a guy called David Spinks. He's like a community building expert, and he basically said that, you know, everyone thinks to build a successful community, you need like thousands of people. Like, oh, how am I going to get 10,000 or 100,000 members, right? But really, it's not that. Really, you only need like a few regulars, like people that just keep coming back and engage. Because if you think about it, like 3 or 5 or 10 people, if they're talking to each other and sharing things, that creates enough content every day so that when someone visits your community, there's new information, it looks alive, and there's actual valuable information there for people to see. And that little core group of people kind of creates the experience for everyone else. And the internet is kind of like this. Like 99.9% of people don't engage; they just watch. But it's that 0.01% of people that actually contribute, that actually make the internet for everyone else. YouTube's like this. Almost every platform is like this. Community is a bit more than that. It's not such a like creator spectator dynamic. But still, it's going to have this kind of dynamic.
100%.
100% of your members are never going to be engaged unless there's like 5 or 10 of them. But yeah, you want to identify your 10 true regulars, and this is kind of nerdy, but maybe you find it helpful. But you know, imagine like the social graph of your community, and at the core of it, like the nucleus kind of, you have these core people. So it might be you. I mean, in the Schoolers community, we can give a great example. Like Calvin Hollywood's very active. You're active. Evelyn's active. And, you know, Ryan Duncan's very active, and there's a bunch of very active people in there. And they're interacting with each other, and then there's a ring around that where there's other people interacting with each other, and that kind of creates the community for everyone else around it.
And a great way to find this in your school community is just to look at your points leaderboard, but ignore the people that are just commenting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times just to get lots of likes. You want to find the people that are on the leaderboard, but are getting there through quality and through actually building real relationships instead of just huge volume of comments or posts.
Yeah. And yeah, you want to identify passionate members early and then bring them closer. So, you know, we noticed that Calvin was very passionate. And so I was talking to him on DMs and talking to him on Zoom, and you know, that's what made him want to go deeper into it, right? And Kirby was a user early on. He had the synthesizers community, and then he wanted to invest. And then you came out to School HQ and you visited it, And then I was like, okay, maybe you should be on the team. And so, you can find, like, where Skool has found investors through this. It's also found team members through this.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Partnerships and power users that have really contributed a lot to the product, but that also build the culture for Skool.
Yep.
And if I never like engaged with them, like through DMs and through Zoom and then meeting them in person, I don't think that would have ever happened.
Definitely.
And I really think it starts by showing up. And then when you see something good, liking their post, liking their comment, replying, saying, oh my God, this is amazing, right? Like giving them some kind of respect, pinning their post or comment, right?
Yep.
And then if you're like, damn, this person's actually pretty good, then I'd like escalate to a DM. And a fast way to if someone's really passionate about what you're doing, one way you can definitely deepen that relationship is by sharing your idea for something you want to do that would change the community. Because now they have access to something that no one else does. And they're like, oh, they trust me with this.
Yes, very true.
And then asking for their opinion on something. Like, what do you think about this problem?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then they'll realize like, oh my God, this guy like trusts me. I actually have a say in the future of this thing. And they listen to me. That will make them even more close, right? And then that can escalate to a Zoom call. I joke with Kirby sometimes. What I do when I need feedback on Skool is I go to my DMs and I scroll down the inbox until I see someone who's a power user that provides good feedback that's green, that's online now. And then I just DM them and I say, yo, you online, ? And then they're like, yes. And then I just send them a Zoom link. I don't even say, do you want to do a call? Should we schedule a call? It's just a Zoom link.
Yep.
And then they're like online they're like on the call and I'm showing them something. And it's been less than 1 minute from when I said to them, like, are you online?
Yes.
And then, escalating again to in person. Skool Games is great for this because we get people together, like you could see here, right? Yep. And you can also just invite people to come hang out, right?
2 other tactics on this is that you can make people moderators. In most groups, our group's big and it's slightly different, but in most groups, if someone's a power user, you can give them status and credibility by making them a moderator. And before, to be a moderator, you kind of had to be on the team with the way we'd structured it. But now moderator is perfectly designed for the power users who aren't on the team to differentiate them from everyone else, to show that you care about them. That's one tactic. And then the other one, if you host a private call weekly for these passionate members, then it brings them together, makes them feel exclusive, and then you create the heart of the community. I've seen people do that really well as well.
Nice. I try not to schedule things because if it's like, oh, we're going to do a call every week, it feels like a chore to me. Maybe not for you, but I want to keep it like just in time, basically. So I might sometimes I'll talk to Calvin for 3 hours straight, randomly without any warning, but then sometimes not much for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
So it's like, it's just in time and when needed. That's my style. I don't know, maybe some people have a different style of dealing with it, but you definitely want to identify your 10 true regulars.
So valuable, these people.
And a good job, a good task for everyone to do right now would just be like, identify who these people are.
Yeah.
And if you don't have 10, then like the
Start
2,
with,
the 1, the 3, whatever. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it for Skool news today. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be dropping those event recordings soon, so stay tuned for that. See you next week.